When a man like Ozzy Osbourne, arguably the godfather of heavy metal, speaks about love, admiration, and respect in the world of music, it hits different. This is someone who has toured with legends, battled through drug-fueled chaos, been banned, worshipped, and resurrected in the same lifetime. And yet, despite being a larger-than-life figure himself, Ozzy has always been vocal about the bands that shaped his heart, his sound, and his life. His list isn't just about talent. It's about a deeper connection. These are the 6 bands Ozzy Osbourne loved the most, and the stories behind each one offer a window into the soul of rock's wildest prophet.
A lot of bitterness on both parts, but I've got to be truthful to you. He's one of the greatest all-time Brits.
Let's begin with a band many wouldn't expect, the Beatles. Yes, before Ozzy became the harbinger of metal darkness, he was a teenage kid growing up in a working-class home in Aston, Birmingham, where dreams were crushed under factory smoke and poverty. But the Beatles changed everything. Ozzy has often said that the first time he heard "She Loves You" on the radio, his life changed forever. That song, he recalled, just blew my mind. It made me feel like anything was possible. In a time when his family couldn't even afford a proper meal, the Beatles gave him an escape. John Lennon, in particular, became Ozzy's ultimate idol. Not for his fame, but for his honesty and his refusal to conform. Later in his career, Ozzy even recorded a haunting cover of the Beatles song, "In My Life," not just as a musical tribute, but as a personal thank you to the band that gave him purpose. For Ozzy, the Beatles weren't just a band, they were salvation.
Plant in concert singing a Led Zeppelin tune, getting a text from Ozzy, buy more milk.
Next on his list of beloved bands is Led Zeppelin, the titans of British rock who, like Sabbath, emerged from England's gritty underbelly and changed music forever. But what's fascinating is that despite the media often painting Sabbath and Zeppelin as rivals in the 70s, Ozzy always had deep respect for them. Zeppelin weren't just a band, Ozzy once said, they were gods. He especially worshipped Jimmy Page's guitar mastery and John Bonham's aggressive, almost supernatural drumming. Ozzy admitted that he would sneak into Zeppelin gigs just to watch Bonham perform. He said, Bonham didn't play drums. He attacked them. Robert Plant's vocals, drenched in mysticism and raw power, also left a lasting mark. While Sabbath dug deeper into darkness and doom, Zeppelin's bluesy, ethereal riffs gave Ozzy a new sense of musical wonder. And when the two bands crossed paths, it wasn't about competition, it was about mutual awe. Then there's Motorhead, a band that didn't just earn Ozzy's admiration, they earned his brotherhood. Ozzy and Lemmy Kilmister shared a bond that was part rock and roll, part war story, and all heart. Lemmy wasn't just a friend, he was a collaborator. The two of them wrote several songs together, including the beloved Mama, I'm Coming Home, one of Ozzy's biggest solo hits. But more than music, they shared a lifestyle of pure chaos. If you could survive a night out with Lemmy, Ozzy joked, you could survive anything. Yet behind the drinking, the drugs, and the decadence, there was deep respect. Ozzy once called Lemmy a true gentleman who lived by his own rules. When Lemmy died in 2015, Ozzy publicly mourned, saying, he was a warrior and a legend. Motorhead's fast, filthy, no compromise sound mirrored Ozzy's approach to life. It was rough, it was real, and it never apologized.
How any of us survived that tour, that Motley Crue tour, God only knows, because we must have titanium livers, you know.
Another band Ozzy revered was Judas Priest, the fellow metal pioneers who grew up just a stone's throw away from Sabbath in Birmingham. They were local boys done good, but they did it in their own style. Where Sabbath brought doom and gloom, Judas Priest added leather, speed, and a high-pitched scream that cut through bone. Ozzy always respected that contrast. Rob Halford, with his operatic range and fearless persona, never tried to copy Ozzy. Instead, he carved his own path, and Ozzy took notice. Over the years, they became close friends, not just out of geography but out of shared survival. Rob Halford, Ozzy once said, is the metal god. I mean that. In a moment of deep respect, when Ozzy was too sick to perform during an Ozfest tour in 2004, it was Halford who stepped in to sing with Sabbath. That wasn't just a guest spot. That was one legend filling in for another, and Ozzy never forgot it. Now, let's pivot to a more surprising entry, Green Day. While they come from a different generation and a totally different sound, Ozzy connected deeply with their spirit. He wasn't just a fan of their hits, he admired their punk energy and political anger. Billy Joe Armstrong's rebellious, sneering lyrics reminded Ozzy of his own early days pushing back against authority and tradition. But it was American Idiot that truly impressed Ozzy. He called it a masterpiece, saying it captured the frustration of a generation in a way few albums had since the early punk days. Despite being a metal legend, Ozzy never boxed himself into one genre. He loved attitude, and Green Day had it in spades. They remind me, Ozzy once said, that rock should always challenge you, not comfort you. He saw them as torchbearers of a dangerous spirit that many thought had died, and he was grateful they kept that flame alive. And finally, there's Nirvana, the band that changed everything in the early 90s and earned a deep, if tragic, place in Ozzy's heart. Unlike many rockers from his era who resented grunge for pushing metal out of the spotlight, Ozzy embraced it. He saw Kurt Cobain as a kindred soul, a fellow tortured artist who poured his agony into his music. Kurt had that thing, Ozzy said, that sadness, that honesty.
I saw myself in that. He praised Nirvana's ability to write beautiful melodies buried in angst and distortion, calling Nevermind a perfect album. Ozzy even once said that if Nirvana had existed in the 70s, he would have loved to tour with them. The two worlds, grunge and metal, weren't so far apart in Ozzy's eyes. They both came from pain, from feeling like an outsider. When Kurt died in 1994, Ozzy took it hard. It was like losing a family member, he admitted. To this day, Ozzy continues to speak about Nirvana with reverence. So what ties these six bands together, what makes them Ozzy's favorites, isn't just talent. It's truth. The Beatles, Led Zeppelin, Motorhead, Judas Priest, Green Day, and Nirvana, they all stood for something. They didn't follow trends. They set them. They pushed back against the world and dared to sound different. Whether it was the Beatles' lyrical genius, Zeppelin's sonic mysticism, Lemmy's street-level fury, Halford's high-octane defiance, Billy Joe's punk activism, or Kurt's raw vulnerability, these bands made Ozzy feel something real. And for a man who has seen everything, feeling something real is rare. Ozzy's love for these bands is also a reflection of who he is beneath the theatrics, the bat-biting headlines, and the myth. He's a fan, a true music lover, a boy from Birmingham who never forgot the first time he heard a song that changed his life. And even after all the madness, the fame, the near-death experiences, and the career comebacks, that part of him still lives on. Still listening, still loving. If you've made it this far, you're not just a music fan, you're a student of rock history. And here at Rock Fame Diaries, we dig deep into the legends, the rivalries, and the real stories behind the myths. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more jaw-dropping tales from the loudest corners of music history. This is Rock Fame Diaries, where legends never fade, and every story hits hard. God bless.